Hey everyone, this is Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA. Today we're going to be talking about selling at petco.com. So if you have a great consumer product that you think should be on their website, this little training will give you some things to think about in regards to selling at petco.com. With that said, let's get started on today's training. So let's talk about Petco and selling to them and their website. First of all, Petco is a retailer that sells pet products. Obviously, it is a retailer that has over 1,500 stores they're currently responsible for. That's a lot of buying power. The thing about Petco is they started as a mail order company a lot of years ago, 60 years ago, and turned it into a retailer and has developed that. The reason I mention that is when a retailer has been around a really long time, they really stand for their products and for their things that they do, and they don't back down. So for those of you who think retailers are going away, absolutely, these retailers will fight to the death to keep alive. And so with that said, they really built out an online presence that's amazing. As of yesterday, they have over 21 million people who visit their websites every single month. Now that can vary and things can change, but anyhow, the thing to consider is if you want to possibly sell to them, one way to do it is through their online portal, which has individual buyers who buy for their online stores versus their physical stores. It's how it works with retailers typically. At this level, they usually have online buyers and physical store buyers. And so one thing to consider is that the online buyer is actually a little bit easier to sell to than the physical store buyer. Why? Because they don't need as much quantity to purchase. If you put a product into a store, essentially they are going to need X number of units per store in order for it to work. The online ones, they can drop ship, they can do all sorts of other stuff. So it's a little bit easier to sell them. Just letting you know, there's an online buyer that's different than the physical store buyer. Something to consider. Now, to be clear, when I tell you there's that many people a month going to their website, that is an opportunity for you to go after an entirely new customer. A lot of you are selling on Amazon or you're selling on your site. That's very different than the person who's going to petco.com to buy things. It's a very different client. So it's a new audience. They're helping you share your product with the world. It makes you look cool. So don't discount getting an online order versus just selling to Petco directly. It's a tremendous opportunity. The other thing I'd say is that Petco is not only in the United States, they're in Mexico, they're in Puerto Rico. Generally, when chain stores have locations in different locations, and by the way, this could change, these retailers change all the time. What you can do is conceivably try to sell to the United States Petco stores, but if the buyers are not interested in your product, you can try to sell to Petco in Puerto Rico or in Mexico. They usually have different buyers who are responsible for different locations in other countries. Everyone usually has a different setup. Typically is how it happens. And so possibly if you can't get into the one in the United States, maybe go to Puerto Rico because it's right next to us. The actual shipping won't be that bad in terms of costs and so forth. And also you get a vendor number for Petco if you work with them. A vendor number is where you actually work with Petco and your name's in the system as a vendor. And so if you are already selling to them in another country or another location outside the United States, you can conceivably go back to the U.S. buyer afterwards and let them know I'm already in the system. Let's see if we can work together now. Show proof of sales and so forth. Same thing with Mexico and so forth. So the bottom line is anytime you see a retailer with different locations in other countries, just know they'll probably have buyers in those locations, and those could help you get in the door so then you can go back with proof. Because when you're dealing with a Petco, everybody with a pet product wants to sell to them. So they've seen every single product. You got to come in strong. You got to come in firm. And if for some reason they decide they don't want to buy something from you, then you have to come up with other angles. So there's so much more to say about how to actually get your products into Petco. If you want to learn how to go after them professionally, even if you've never sold anything in your life, please take a look at what we do. We are a company called Retail MBA. We are a retail consultancy. We're also a rep agency, but the consultancy part is we'll help you figure out your strategies, where we're looking at your products and we're trying to come up with solutions with you to see how we can get the buyer to say yes to you. One change to order can mean many millions of dollars to your business or your bottom line if it sells well. It's a very exciting opportunity, and we recommend just getting a little support. There's very few companies out there who've been around as long as we have. We'd love to help you. Otherwise, be on the lookout for additional videos and information we create. Karen Waksman, Retail MBA, happy to support. Thanks so much.